Yes, good morning and welcome to the Change the World on this Thursday, the 13th of March. And I welcome all of you who are watching this on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on X, Twitter, and Instagram. That's for the channels on the live event, which is really real time. And then the podcast is on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and the channels that I mentioned are also keeping those recordings, so you can always access them. Uh, this week, I wanted to bring an issue that is really close to my heart, and that's about talking the truth, and it's about being a leader or a manager, and sometimes have the challenge of having to share something difficult, or simply keep the story straight and being really honest. Now, of course, sometimes I hear the a comment saying to me, well, let's not be naive. If I say the truth to this group of people or to this individual, I'm going to hurt their feelings. I'm going to create a fear. I'm going to lose credibility. I'm going to lose faith. My face. So I don't know, or I know at least it's not about knowledge, it's about experience that you can do, different things. For just telling a story, and that's, I think, a good way to start this short show today because it's going to be shorter than usual. This was a Fortune 500 CEO that once gathered his executive team. And I remember this was a coaching situation I had about maybe 6 months ago. So he had to deliver what he called, the brutal truth. The company was struggling, and he felt totally um, bad about sharing anything about the news. And really, total honesty was the only way he could use to move forward. So, big dilemma. And he could really sense a tense, right, in the boardroom. And he laid it all out. And he harshly said, we are failing. Some of you aren't pulling your weight. He said, we need to costs, and some of you won't like the decisions coming. And if you can't handle it, maybe you shouldn't be here. Well, I don't know if it's said in that tonality, but we are a little bit familiar these days. And this is why in fact, picked that topic because these days, right, with the Doge and the different things that happen, there is consequences, and many people are on the edge right now in the less expected kind of environment, which is the government agencies and people who work as civil workers, civil servants. Some of them, and hopefully those that really are, in fact, those that did not report back that they were working or they do not show any credentials about what they do or being productive. And I hope that the way they checked on that is decent and fair. But let's assume that it is the case. And that's not, I think, the intention, but I really don't know to affect everybody. Of course, it's not the case. There's multiple reasons why I think some people are going to be affected by this. But as it's presented, as the things are said, the rule is that you need to, I think, answer an email and provide a few bullet points about what you're doing and what you've done, so that you can at least substantiate your own view, your own statement that you are committed, that you're going to work, that you are producing something for the compensation you receive. A very basic rationale. And if you transfer this to a private organization, um, this would be, if you own it, an issue. I'm sure you would probably feel. But the way you do this is the way I'm talking about now. It's not necessarily about firing people or about sharing the bad news, like I just said. But I took notes of what that person said, and I'm going to repeat to you and read to you what that person said straight to these members of the team or board members. I'm not even sure I remember if it's at the board level, but it was the executives that were reporting to that CEO. And for five Fortune, 500 Fortune, Fortune 500 CEO is leading a lot of people. He said, we are failing. Some of you are not pulling your weight. He said, we need to cut cost, and some of you won't like the decisions coming. And third, if you can't handle it, maybe you should not be here. Does it sound right to you? Well, his words were technically true, and they were not very helpful. The morale plummeted, felt like like really a big, huge stone falling on the floor. His best people started exploring other jobs, and the most disengaged people, employees, stayed out of fear or they had no commitment. So the consequence of this kind of statement and attitude and behavior, not thinking twice and giving the brutal truth on the face of people, is obviously not the right way to communicate. But the truth is still probably the language to talk. It's the language to use. There is something about truth that you can't manipulate anything. You can't try to change the story or create, a story that doesn't exist. So after working with an executive coach like me, and sometimes the team hired some other coaches than me. We were a team of coaches. It came out that the truth is only effective when it's communicated with the purpose and sharing the purpose of why this is happening, and adding something that really justifies trust. Trust that what the statement you make and who you are is coming across like a very human touch. You care and you really sincerely do. So you have empathy, you have compassion, but you have also a will to help, to support, to coach, to make them swallow the pill if this has to be a pill to swallow. And that's what the thing is. So when he revisited the conversation, I took note again because he had another team of people to talk to, and he changed the tonality and said, we're facing serious challenges, and I need your leadership more than ever. And then let's tackle this together. I trust you, and I believe we can turn this around. Now, there is no promise in that statement. He believes that we can turn this around. He didn't say that everybody's going to stay. He didn't mention about firing people, that they shouldn't be in the room, or something bad is going to happen, and they should be aware that a decision is coming their way. That was not right. That's a huge difference if you see the shift, right? So the team felt engaged rather than attacked. And within months, the company rebounded stronger than before because the team remained motivated and empowered. And there is a sense of partnership too in that last statement, because it says, we have to tackle this together. We're in this together. I like to say that all the time when I eventually propose or suggest to say a short sentence that really goes straight to the heart. We are in this together. When you say that and you mean it, it changes the whole paradigm and the whole communication and the whole platform on which you are right now communicating with these people. So truth is not brutality, it's clarity. Leaders often mistake directness for effectiveness, but truth lands best when it's constructive and not destructive, if you agree with me. Second thing I want to say, brutal truth often reflects the leader's frustrations, not wisdom. And if you feel the need to take back, to reflect and be honest, ask yourself, well, do I add value by being straight, direct, and brutal, or just offloading my emotions on people and then affect them and their emotions? Thirdly, shocking truth, the title I gave for this today's show, You Change the World. They don't inspire when they are shocking. You have to put yourself in people's shoes. If you're not a good leader. You're certainly not a leader. You're not trying to empower, you're not trying to inspire, or you don't try to support, coach, or give support. You're not giving anything. You're taking more than you're giving. And that's really pretty much inefficient. So don't aim to shock your teams with blunt, but be inspiring, and suggest inspiring action, uh, and give them some direction, some framework, thoughtful framework. Then last bullet point I want to make is that the alternative, the option to lie, a short-term strategy, or to manipulate transparency, doesn't really help. You need to be transparent, courageous. You have to be always standing to a brand of yourself that you have been always telling the truth, and that you are responsible for what you're saying. And finally, it was final, but I wanted to add something about psychological safety. I think it matters. It matters a lot. People don't fear the truth; they fear the consequences of it. And where the leader stands, and where the leader's job is probably not to just reveal the truth, but to create an environment where it can be received, but certainly not go around it. So know the difference between blunt and being honest. Bluntness is not about you. Honesty is about them. And one is self-serving and the other is transformational. You know the truth. You have to share something with people. And we talk about transparency all the time. But transparency needs the care and needs the intention. Everything, in fact, we do when we are leaders, and this is probably the dominant theme that you hear me, in fact, sharing with you each week, because whichever subject we are tackling together and we're discussing, or if I have a guest, it's always about the experience that people have of your leadership, of your influence, of your impact. If you have the right intention for the experience that people live when they are around you, that psychological safety is something you create all the time. You made a decision, and that decision creates the intention, and even above that, the foundation of this intention, I would say that it's really the foundation of it, the genesis of your good leadership is your mindset. So we can talk, hours about growth mindset, positive mindset. But positivity, if it's part of your personality, if you work on yourself, that you can focus on the positive aspects of something, call a problem an opportunity, call a crisis um, a gathering. We need to talk about something. Call, a person, and understand that this person is an entity of many, many things and sensitivity and emotions. Even they can be the toughest people in the world. They have their emotional intelligence. By respecting that kind of space and giving a space for people to receive this information, and try to think of information and communication as a gift. You have the option not to share the truth. The pink slip can come to someone on desk and say, you are laid off, without any preparation. It happens a lot that way. Or you want to lead the team, prepare the team, explain to the team, and be also a servant leader and assist them individually and collectively. I know for many of you who's watching this, they say it doesn't add very much what I already knew. But when I think about all the examples of the day and the number of times people not knowing exactly what to do are choosing to make up something, and that's really the wrong choice. And I think that I'm here to not give tips or advice, just to share the experience, to share what's going on in this coaching space that I become more and more passionate about, because everybody lives the experience differently. And the coaching is coping with that person's, will, choice, and intention. The intention is the power of someone. You bring that with you in a room, there's people around you, and if you prepared yourself with what you want these people to live with you and be safe, feel safe, very safe when they are around you, then I think you pretty much gain not only their trust, but the outcome can be very positive. They remain motivated, and at the end of the day, they're going to be productive. The brutal truth, the shocking truth, is almost disarming. It's removing all the strength. It's sucking the energy from people and replace their productive energy by emotional energy and negative emotional energy. After that, they start leaving the room where they were with you, thinking, overthinking, crying, having pain, and causing pain. So I think that all of that is something to think about in these days when even the government is having bad news to share or has to care about people that needs to take another way. Those who are punished because they did not behave or did hide something or committed fraud, well, even through these people, we can say something like, this cannot continue. It cannot go on. Can go on. You cannot steal money from the taxpayers to do this or to do that. So there is a lot of truth going out. This is why I picked that topic today, and maybe we'll have another one and create a series here about how do we use truth, how do we communicate truth, how do we integrate and internalize transparency in our leadership, in our posture of being leaders and being transparent, because we create enormously a positive environment and an environment of trust when we build a brand and we have the reputation of being truthful and transparent. But we have to do this as human beings. And when really there is even truth that has to be done, has to be expressed and communicated over to people who are, in fact, the ones who have been lying, the ones who have been manipulating, the one who has been dishonest, still they are surrounded by other people that are more honest or that are working as usual. And we have to be very cautious about how we communicate things. Hopefully, that's what they do when they make decisions in the government. That's what they do when they do in private companies, small organizations, large organizations. We have times when we have to share that difficult truth, brutal truth, but we can do it very sweetly and very softly. And that's what I wanted to just share with you today. Well, there is maybe a saying, a quotation I like to use. I don't know who in fact wrote this, but it's honesty without empathy is cruelty. The best leaders tell the truth, not to hurt, but to help. And that's what to keep in mind. I think this is the right way to conclude this show today that was shorter than usual. And tell you to have a wonderful weekend and to see you next week. We'll have probably a guest next week, but let's make it a surprise. Thank you.